we'd like to talk about the revenues for the city of McComb. These are projected revenues. When we did the line item budget, you saw a lot. So this is called a summary budget. The state requires us to adopt a summary or category budget versus the line item budget. So you will see all license and permits last year. Projection was $360,000. This year we're projecting $394,000, which is a $34,000 increase. State shared revenue, that's your sale taxes. We're projecting last year was $6,613,000 because of the new formula that the legislature came up with. They reduced grocery tax and they increased our share. So we're projecting that maybe it should come in about $500,000 more. Didn't have good figures for everything else. And hopefully this year, with our financial records, we will be able to have better records where we can actually project increases or decreases in revenue. But Ms. Jean and I have done the best that we could do under the circumstance. You will see a negative for miscellaneous income. You will see a negative 307,314. That is primarily because we had to take out the dispatch, not the dispatch, 911 revenue. So, as well as in the police, we had to take out 13 people for dispatch. So, with that being said, you will notice that last year our projections were for taxes were $10,078,252. This year our projection is $10,304,938, which is a $226,000 increase over last year. Now, what you see down here for levy amount of taxes, we're looking at the fact that from Magnolia at the ad valorem, and we're not quite sure about this because based upon what the state did as it relates to assessment, we may see a bigger bump than what we projected, but we're estimating that we need at least $3,421,000 in ad valorem taxes to be collected, which would give us a total, if that comes in, give us a total revenue of $13,725,938, which is a $381,896 increase from last year. And please just work with us. Ms. Jean asked me to be the spokesperson for the budget. Okay, if we could.
I got you, Mayor.
We want, yeah.
You just want to stop
Just go up to there, right there, be fine. So, general government. General government consists of the board, it consists of the city administrator, the city clerk's office, the city attorney, I'm trying to think of the city member, and elections. So with all that, you see general government, personnel. In general government, move from 1289 to $12,321,000, which is a $31,285 increase. Operational supplies primarily stayed the same. Contractual service. Understand we were on a tight budget. We realize that, and we're hoping that revenues do come in better than what we projected, because you know and I know that contractual charges and service in general government probably will exceed that, but in order to present to the board a balanced budget, we had to make sure that everything was balanced. So we're looking at an increase about 18,500 in that category, and then capital, we see a drop because last year this board authorized the purchase of a city vehicle for the mayor's office for City Hall, and so that 35,000 was taken out of. That's that 35,000. So you see a drop there. Total for government expense, because we got to have an election. So election, last year an election was not a part of government expense, but come January, those of us that plan to run again, new people that's gonna run, they will qualify, so we had to put money there for elections. So you see an increase of about $15,785. Any questions about general government? And if you have your line item budget, it primarily falls right in line with that line item budget. Public safety, police department, no, zoning, personnel went up about $8,939. You will see a decrease in his operational supplies. You see a big increase of $57,382, and that's primarily for demolition of houses. Okay, so you see an increase in zoning, and that should have 1,100 in front of total zoning. But you see an increase of about $68,121 there in the zoning department. Public safety, police department, personnel service could not, we heard you all would say put it back to where it was, but it could not go back to where it was because we had to put a 20% increase on health insurance. So when we put that 20% increase in health insurance for the entire police department, which consists of animal control and the police division, it went up by $52,644. Operational supplies went up also from 46 to 71. Contractual service went up this year also from 271 to 391,000, which is a $120,000 increase there. In the police division, we see a $4,204,982, which is an increase of $420,734. Then we have our municipal court, Miss Sonia and her group there in municipal court. Last year was 368. This year is 379. Went up about 10,917 in personnel services. Operational supplies stayed the same. Contractual services and charges went up from 22,900 to 26,400, which is a $3,500 increase. So you see total increase for municipal court being $14,417. Public safety fire division, again, listening to you as it relates to we did our best to make it the same. You will see a drop there from 2,620,000 down to 2,451,000, which is a 168,000 drop in the fireman's budget. Operational supplies, you will see it going up from 38.5 to 73.5, which is a $35,000 increase. Contractual services, you'll see an increase there in the fire department from 96,000 to 137,000, which is a $41,000 increase. And then capital outlay, you see it going from 36 to 49,000. If you do your add and subtracting, the fire department will end up with a budget that's $79,380 less than what it was last year. And public works budget, which consists of 5 divisions, you have your street division, you have your cemetery division, you have your vehicle maintenance division, administrative division, and you have, I'm missing one. No, that's street.
Water sewer?
What?
Water sewer?
No, that's under
Utility?
utility.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Cemetery?
Cemetery, but it's 5 divisions.
Streets? Maintenance?
Vehicle maintenance. I'm missing one.
Yeah. Sanitation?
No, the ones that deal with the lights and all that. I can't think of the name.
Oh, traffic.
Traffic, that's it. Okay. 1,701,000 this year, which is a $60,635 increase from last year in personnel services. Operational supplies, you will see that it only went up by $785. Contractual service, that went up by $2,897. Total increase in public works is $62,622. The recreation personnel service went up by $16,386. Everything else stayed the same. Got the total there. Insurances have gone up. We were not able to, because our records were not accurate, where we could know exactly how much in which area. So insurances went up for workers' compensation by 10,000, not 10 million, 10,000. Liability went up by 13,000. Property insurance by 10,000. Bond insurance, that means everybody who come in contact with money have to be bond. So that went up by 5,000. So we see for insurances, we went up by 33,500. Capital outlay, that's primarily donations to outside agencies, as well as sponsorships. So it went up by $5,000 from 95 to 100. So total expenditures is $13,549,831 for this year. So if you subtract that from projected revenues, right now we're looking at a surplus of $176,107. However, we do have a cost coming in, which we're not sure exactly what it will be because it's prorated from January through September for dispatch. So that probably will be the cost for dispatch.
I need a break
No, I told him, we didn't catch that. Okay. We do apologize. Like I said, we were pushed, and we were still working up to 5 minutes ago.
Like, literally.
You know, but this is where we are right now. There are a lot of variables out there that we could not account for, properly gauge ourselves on, and we'd rather be conservative than liberal and have to come back and cut in the middle of the year. Any questions? Okay.
Is it right there?
And again, this is proposed, it's not been adopted. We have a special call meeting, so you need to put it on your calendar. Special call meeting for next Monday, which is September the 15th, to adopt the budget. Hopefully we can set the time while we're here. Okay.
Does that look right?
That looks good to me.
We haven't said it yet.
We haven't said it. Probably 5:30. I'm thinking 5:30. Okay. Utility fund. That's our water and sewer. You'll see water sales, and that's where Miss Jean and I have had several conversations about the importance of us putting monies when they come into the proper categories, because this again, due to our poor record keeping, we were not able to get a good feel for where we are right now. So we said, well, best thing we can do is go on what we had last year and make some projections on that. So we said that we felt comfortable that we would reach hopefully $22,600,000 sales in water. That's just water. When people talk about water bill, that's water. Also, sewer is 142% more than water. So we're projecting the same would be equal for sewer. Hopefully we'll get that this year, but we're not sure because of our record. Interest rates, we're hoping that things will continue to be good, and we'll get at least 25 more in interest rates on our water and sewer account. We're projecting on the other revenues that we'll get in about the same, 217. Septic tank haulers, we're able to track that. We think it's going to come in a little less than that, what was projected, but we're thinking that still 9,500 would be good for next year. Return checks is running about 90% right now, so we felt good that we could, just looking at the records, we felt that maybe we should keep that the same. Service fees, 10,000. You'll see an increase in water connection fees, and that's anybody who wants our water system or anybody who was cut off and they've got to pay that what is it, $200 and some dollars? Even reconnect, you know, and $50 reconnect and all that all comes in that. So we're looking at an increase, we're looking at a decrease in that area. We're also looking at a decrease in sewer connections simply because we don't have a lot of people buying houses. more people buy houses, the more connection are built, the more they will connect to our sewer line. More people are utilizing the internet service and e-check and paying their water bills to keep from having that $50 disconnect notice. So we're seeing a drop in the number of people on the disconnect. Yeah. And that was the whole purpose of that, was to see a drop. We wanted more people to come in, pay their water bills, all that. So we got more people coming in. They may pay that $5 late fee, but they don't want to pay that $50 reconnect. That's the original connection fee. Yeah, for new construction, or if you coming in and you need service there. So you would see that we're projecting a drop in revenue of about $25,000. Capital improvement, we're looking at it because it's basically a standard, so we kept it at $575. So total, that's cash that we can use for the system, because $575 cannot, because that's capital improvement, it cannot be used in the system, only for capital improvement projects. And all we did was see a drop of about $18 in our projections there. But total source of revenue that coming into our utility fund will be $6,849,500. So we want to talk about the expenditures. Personnel service. Now in utility, you have your water plant, you have your maintenance, you have your wastewater treatment facility. All those make up our utility. So what we're looking at, personnel services, small increase of $28,307. Operation expense, we're seeing a drop in our operational expense for our utility of $60,000 from $371 down to $311. We're seeing an increase in our contractual charges and services, and that's primarily because of the wastewater and the billable amounts that we get in, and hopefully those numbers will come down. But the billable amounts, so you see an increase of $129,000 there. Capital outlay, because of what we have done and using our capital improvement monies have helped in that area. So we see a drop in capital outlay by $140,000. And insurances. Understand that the utility have to carry its weight in insurances. So there you're seeing an increase in insurance on their side of from $185,000 to $201, which is a 50. Is that a 50? We have to check that. Insurances. We need to check that. Okay. But as you can see, when we look at total expenditures and debt service, we got 5, is it 4 or 5 SRF loans?
5.
5 SRF loans, that's the debt service, and utilities have to pay for that debt service. And one of the biggest one in debt service is that wastewater plant. So we have total debt service coming out of the utility being $2,652,531. So total expenditures, $6,266,368. So when we subtract expenditures from projected revenue, you see there is a surplus of $3,100. $2. Any questions? Any questions about it?
Is that for the public or for us?
For everybody.
I'll wait. Do we have special revenue or are I'm not down to cover that, right?
Well,
Awesome.
it'll be a part of the final budget, but we don't.
Okay. I guess I'll take that money.
You go ahead.
So the last work session we talked about salaries. Well, I was supposed to have salary scales ready and I didn't. Let me start with police because it's a little simpler. No way you're right. So the budget, the one without any yellow on it, is the one that Patty made y'all a super zoomed in one. And so this is actually what it would look like on Excel. The one that has no yellow on it is what was adopted mid-year. Where there was a few pay raises given due to the new scale, not like significant, but just kind of aligning to the scale, if that makes any sense. I think that's probably the best definition. For that person. All right, so looking at it, I know it's just a bunch of numbers, but the issue with the scale at the police level is from I'm gonna call them steps. That's what I'm used to calling them. So from grade 1 to grade 2 was a 3% increase. You can see 21,000 to 22,000, keeping on step 1. But from grade 1 to grade 2. But from grade 1, step 1 to step 2 was a 10% increase. So those were backwards.
That's great.
So it's supposed to be grade 1 is like to say an uncertified officer, and a grade 2 is a certified officer. Typically, a promotion comes with a 10% increase. And a step, which in the teacher world is what most of us are used to, is a yearly increase that, at the ability of our tax revenue would work out, should be 3% more than likely. So that's that. So what I did was I just took the old scale and I made a new scale. And so the new scale starts at currently what the minimum hourly pay is for an uncertified cadet. So this one's the one with the yellow on it. Okay, which is $19.82 an hour is what we pay officers coming in. That is the current minimum pay. Okay, can we lower people's pay? Yes. But I just put that as the very first thing.
Okay, before you move there,
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with what you've done here, but you've left off my bailiffs and all those who are on
Bailiffs are on here. They're on grade 2
grade 2.
on the yellow scale. So on the old pay scale, a uncertified cadet would be a grade 2, step 8. Okay, I don't know why, but that's just where they would be. Okay, so I moved it to 1-1 to make it simple. Then I labeled what all the grades were according to what their title is. And one thing I want you to realize though is a captain, a deputy sheriff, and a sheriff are all on a salary scale. I left them on here just as a reference so you know what they make compared to what everyone else makes. Not so that you can get their business, just so that you have a comparison. And the best way to think about this is in titles, not in names. Okay? So essentially, if you leave it exactly the way it is, the yellow is what their pay would be, and then, and so the first question is, why isn't everyone on step 1 all the way down? Why wouldn't the captain, the deputy chief, and the chief also be on level 1? Well, the reason you don't want to do that is because the first 3, your uncertified, certified, bailiff, sergeant, and lieutenant, they all have the opportunity to make overtime. So if they make 10% overtime, they immediately make more than their manager does. So you usually give them some steps, which works out for us, it's about 5 steps. Okay? So the important part is at the bottom. And this is where we got into trouble. So at the very bottom in the middle, you see where I put current budget, 1.2 mil. That's what we're budgeting for our police force. On his current staffing that he has right now, he needs 1.4 mil. Okay? And that puts him at 5 people on all shifts. Okay? Now, the question is, well, why didn't this get caught earlier? Well, it's because he was, I don't know if understaffed is the right word. He wasn't staffed to plan until just recently. He wasn't fully staffed. So even now, even last month, his budget was under 1/12 of his yearly budget because he's still not technically all the way there. Okay? But if he was fully staffed 100% of the year, which is very unlikely, right? That you're fully staffed 100% every second of the year, he would need that 1.4 million. Okay? What he proposed to us a few weeks ago that we had talked about a little bit was 6 per staff, 6 per shift, which is that $1.6 million number. Okay? And so my last conversation with him was, what we're budgeting this year is kind of a hair more than 4 per shift, which is a lieutenant, a sergeant, and 2 deputies, essentially. He feels very strongly that he can make a major impact in the city at 6 per shift, but where's the money coming from, right? The big question. So I just wanted to set that on you from that point of view. What's up?
We got processing. Where are they?
I think they're on the 2080 scale. He said that they don't work these same hours.
Okay.
He said that they were on the 2080 scale.
Okay.
I asked him why they didn't go to a 12-hour shift. He didn't have an answer to that. He said that's maybe something they can do in the future, is move them to a 12-hour shift. That job already pays nothing, so I don't know if nothing plus 12 hours is worth anyone applying for it. But yeah, if I agree with you though, if he does put them on this scale, everything would have to slide up, and you probably need a new grade 1 for processors, because processors are the lowest paid employee at the police department. And he said they're on this 9 to 5 scale that like all the clerks are on and everything, and not on the police scale. All right, the other one is the fire. So this is your big long one. This one is much more confusing. So the one with only yellow on it is current. Well, it's not current. I'm actually going to ask you to adopt this. The one that only has yellow on it is showing where everyone is currently getting paid at, what level. The one with both colors on it, yellow, green, and blue, you see that police starting pay, and the challenge here was, what would it take to get fire and police paid the same amount? One thing you have to remember though is that police work 2,100 hours a year. Fire works 2,900 hours a year. So when I say paid the same, I don't mean hourly the same. Fire works 700 more hours a year than a police officer, so their hourly rate will not be the same. The goal of this was to get their salary the same, their take-home pay on their W-2 or whatever. Okay, just something to think about. So yellow is where they currently get paid on the sheet that only has yellow. And remember, on top of this, they also, about 15% of their time is automatically overtime based on how their schedule works and labor standards. So you'll see over here, I say like with overtime, this is the place with overtime. So a current firefighter with overtime is at 43,000. You see grade 2 come all the way across. Okay, and a police officer is at 47,000. Okay, so it's all about trying to close that gap. And that takes you to the top sheet. So the top sheet, blue would get them to where police is. And that would cost 1.8 million or 1.9 million. And this is not benefits. Benefits goes up equally. This is just base wages. Current pay scale is 1.7 million for them. So for them to even the playing field with police, which I was asked to look at, it would cost about 200,000 without benefits. Benefits would also go up equally, which is about, I don't know, I think it cashed out to be like 27, 29% of salary. So 200,000 plus 30%. So just, I was tasked to find out those numbers. It's in front of you in a simpler scale. I'm not going to ask you to vote on this anytime soon, but I just wanted to get you those numbers and get it on a scale that goes from something crazy that looks like this to something that has job titles on each level and that we could actually read, and that shows a 3% yearly if it's given by the board. So I probably shouldn't say yearly. 3% step, and then 10% promotionals. That's it. Somewhat off topic.
Well, not so much off topic because it's normally during the budget period that you talk about raises, you talk about straightening out these things, but when you don't have the money, so you can't project where the revenue is going to come from, sometimes your hands are tied.
I will say this now that revenue was brought up. My fellow cities that I speak to are projecting a 28% increase in income from ad valorem taxes due to the state legislature's action this past session. Right now, we're only projecting a 7% increase. I'm all about being conservative. I think we should settle at like a 20% increase and project that income that we're supposed to be getting due to the state legislature's actions on home evaluations within the county is reflected and we're able to take advantage of. Are y'all familiar with that?
Yes, we are. We got a paper right here in front of us
What is that?
from the county.
What is that showing?
That's the final assessed values from the county.
Did I get a copy of it?
Um,
Was it only showing 155 increase? Was it showing a bigger increase?
It shows that we will get a 122,000 and something possibly per meter.
122 per mil. Okay, I thought it was 125. That makes sense. No, I'm talking about. So the state legislature, your house was valued in the eyes of assessing its value at 50% in prior years. Okay, well, the state legislator directed. I don't know if the state legislature did this. The state.
The state did.
The state, I won't even say the legislature, the state directed assessors to appraise you at 85% of your home's value. Okay? So you're in the court, in the tax office, your house is now worth more than it was in the past, and therefore you're going to be paying a little bit more taxes. Okay, about 28%. So just something to consider there. And from what I'm understanding, it comes out closer to 600,000 than 155. And you know, I think we're in a situation where if we can address, you know, getting 6 officers on every shift and get over the hill of the momentum we've had in our police department, we should look at it. If we have the opportunity, I know if Select Woman was here, you know,
She's on the phone.
she's with us in spirit, in voice. She would want us to equalize the pay of the people who risk their lives every day. So, you know, if we're gonna, I think that this is the opportunity to do it. To I think take crime and really push it down. The last thing I would like to do is direct our police chief to, you know, naturally lose 4 officers, which, you know, people get hired, people move on, people go to other departments. It would happen. But I think at least if we maintain or engage in the budget to go to 6, that would be a big win. I was just talking about you.
You know, I don't disagree with you. I think what I would do is say let's continue and see if the money continues to roll in, because we have this new formula for sales tax, and everybody's trying to figure out if it's going to work. Is it going to benefit us based upon the figures that the state provided us? If that works out, we should be getting more than $1 million, right at $1 million additional in sales tax. But we don't know that. That's why when Ms. Jean and I sat down and talked about it, that's why we were being conservative on that end, is because even though the state has projected that McComb should get about $1 million more in sales tax, they really don't know. So we didn't want to just say, hey, we're going to get $1 million.
And Mayor, this is what I wanted to say. Like for the citizens all over the state of Mississippi, I'm saying this is gonna be like a big red sock. I'm gonna call it a red sock. I hurt to some citizens paying that big tax. I'm just being honest. And like I said, I think they need to go back and look at it. I'm speaking from the citizen who I've been talking to. You know, I went and got mine. Mine went up. I'm not satisfied, but I'm gonna pay mine. But still, it's a big red flag. And then the president said one other thing, but the president told a story. He said you have property that you shouldn't be paying taxes. The president said that one time in his one of his speech. If you own the property that you shouldn't be paying taxes, but still they came back and did something else. The president did say, go back and look up some of his stuff he talked about. This right here is gonna be a slap in our citizen face all over the state of Mississippi.
But at the same time, as we talk about taxes, and again, I'm not disputing nothing that Selectman Cotting has said. However, we have that delinquent amount of people not paying taxes when they should, and 28% increase, that may make that larger delinquent group
Well, even bigger.
even bigger.
And the president said.
So I'm not against. I'm just saying let's look at this like it is, because we do have people who do not pay their taxes, and that's why when we project, when we say we need $3 million and something from ad valorem taxes and we don't get it, guess what? It's not because the projection is not there, it's that people don't pay. So when people don't pay, then we fall short. Selectman Kai.
So my stance is to raise the budget, but I will say something in support of the mayor's stance. The other thing that the board needs to understand, raising revenue, not raising taxes. The other thing that we need to understand is that we don't get
all over the state of Mississippi, not just McComb, but just in the whole state? Will they make the taxes go down?
If the legislature decides they want to do that, it can make the taxes go down. Yeah,
Because it's a slap in the American face,
like the cotton.
and I'm sticking to that.
Also against what I'm recommending, some cities, some of my peers, or some of our peers, I apologize, especially in the Memphis area, Hernando, South Haven, cities like that have lowered their millage rate, what they feel like is proportional to this 20-ish% increase. So, Hernando dropped theirs 4 mils, South Haven dropped theirs 3.75 mils. That is an option on the table. I would, if we could figure out a way to be super efficient, I would be all for it. And it is an option that I would support. Saying that, I still think that our public safety department is underfunded for the hole that they were put in the past. And I think we finally kind of have enough of a grasp of understanding and the right people in place to fix a lot of the problems that have burdened the city in the past. And step one of that for us going forward is equalizing the pay in the two departments.
I'm not against lowering taxes because we have not seen a significant increase in revenue in the last 10 years. Our revenue has kind of been flat. So if you decrease revenue, that means we're gonna have to really look at possible laying folks out. Because right now it's projected that one meal is gonna bring in about $122,000. So if you cut hours by 3 meals, that's $300 and some thousand. And we worked hard and trying just to balance the budget with you all's help because we didn't know what to do. And you all were helpful in directing Miss Jean, and Miss Jean and I got together and we were able to balance the budget. But as you can see, we don't have a lot of revenue. We don't have a lot of fat in this budget. So if we start cutting millage rate, that means that we're gonna have to look at going back in and making more cuts. Select one.
Okay, yeah, but we did. Not we, at the state level, they did grocery sale tax. I'm just saying, like I don't think. Maybe I shouldn't say they didn't think the whole thing through, but still, the American people of the state of Mississippi, all over the world. I'm just still saying what the president said. I'm saying what the president of the United States said, but I'm just still saying this gonna hurt some of the American people. You know, all the homeless already, that we are, seeing, but still like this right here, people still not paying their taxes. Some of those people might fall to be homeless.
Select Mullins.
I agree with just about everything that you all said here. However, I do think that we need to err on the side of caution and approach this from a conservative standpoint. Give us a few months into the new budget year so that we have another audit under our belt and we know better financially where we'll actually be heading into the future. Then we can make adjustments at that time. I don't think that we can say, well, this is written in stone, we can't change it later, but let's just err on the side of caution, one step at a time, and then look forward to making changes.
And of course, Miss Jean and I was talking, and Miss Jean, don't let me put words in your mouth, speak up. But Miss Jean and I was talking today about come October 1, how important it will be to make sure our financial records are done accurately, because that is a big help knowing where you are right now in a budget period, where you are, the actual versus what you budgeted. You know, right now, based on our financial records, some of them may be accurate, some of them may not be. But the fact is, they're not reliable as a whole. So she and I was talking earlier today about how important it will be for us when we start October 1, that people put things in place where they are supposed to be for our records can be accurate. Select McComb.
You know, it may seem that I'm back and forth. I just want to illustrate the fact that I see both sides of the argument. And I guess I want to make clear what my stance is right now, for better or for worse. You know, our citizens have charged us with a few things to nail this term. And I think we are on the right path on a lot of them. And I'll even say we're on the right path with policing. I just think getting them to 6 will get them over the hump, and getting fire equalized will bring justice to a problem that has been lasting for years. And I understand to do that will probably be budgeting the increase in ad valorem that we probably should, and another $4 million increase to taxes on top of the ad valorem increase. Okay? I'm just saying that if your taxes are going up $200, what's another $40 to make it $240? Okay, in the effort to make sure that we are safe and a public standpoint. That is my stance, and it is not everyone has a house as nice as yours, like woman.
I'm gonna still say this right here. Mine is with a $700 something. I'm just being honest. You understand? It went over $700. I'm just being honest. Now, if you use an example, you throwing a figure out there of 200. Everybody's not going up 200. Mine went up over $700. I have paper from both
Additional
years.
700
700
Yeah.
compared to last year.
His
I found
is 1100.
mine's $744 and something.
So, just if the majority of the increase is coming from state direction, if you piggyback on that ride, I think that you fix this public safety issue over the long term.
You can look at it. You can vote for him. Vote for the paper. Here, vote. You can see it. I don't have no change. Paper, here, vote.
I mean, it's
Last
public
year.
information.
But understand now, if the task, if you all gonna go in with any increase, you need to let Ms. Jean know. Because we have, and I say we because I'm working with Ms. Jean, it will be our task to get a budget that can be adopted on the 15th. Yeah.
He's saying $200.
Me personally, I think again, I agree with Mr. Lowe. I think we need to exercise caution. Get past our auditors and get our books caught back up so we can get a better start and a better feel as we move forward. At some point, I'm sure we will be able to get the 6 officers and get the folks to fire department equal pay. That's a great thing, but I don't think that we need to jeopardize somebody's job or lifestyle by doing something at this point.
Thank you.
I think we need to just stay on track as we're moving now, and I think we'll be just fine.
We can adjust the budget after 3 months, take it down, but.
Especially if we get plenty of revenue.
Right, if we get everything in, that changes everything, and my team is tasked on getting our books in order starting October 1st, so we're working on that.
That's a good advice. Not make something that's gonna come back to bite us.
Right, so we can definitely look at it,
Especially if you're getting revenue.
increase.
You know, and I think the first, that went in July, we're a month behind in sale tax collection, so what you get in August is for July, and what you get for, so we should have some idea, look at August and see how August sales tax came in and see if there's a big difference in last August and this August.
Double check, get caught up with the tax.
Any other discussion about the budget? None?